Hello and welcome. If this is your first time here, thank you for checking out my channel. And if you're coming back, thank you for your continued support. This review and cocktail pairing is gonna be different. First, the game I'm playing, I am anywhere between noob and scrub when it comes to fighting game skill level. But nice thing is, this game does a really good job of introducing new players to the game, as well as welcoming old players back. One game, 3 shots. The game we're going to be talking about is a game from the 90s, which has an extremely rocky past. But this game, at the time of its release, with the improvements and changes it made to the formula, not only put it back to the very top of the mountain, but secured its place for an entire console generation. This is none other than Mortal Kombat. In 2011, Mortal Kombat was released. Now, to clarify, this is actually Mortal Kombat 9, not the Mortal Kombat released in 1992. But I think this was done to let us know that this was definitely going to be a reboot. When fans and critics actually got their hands on the game, everyone was raving about it. Sure, there was a few issues with the story and maybe some balancing issues within the game, but balancing issues are an everyday thing in fighting games. There were definitely some interesting new features that really propelled the game forward. The first, of course, being a return to form, as they say, going back to its roots as a 2D fighter. Next, of course, being the change to controls, with each face button on the controller corresponding to a different limb on our bodies. Therefore, punch, kick, left, right. And of course, the biggest change of all, the super meter. Level 1 lets you buff up an attack. Level 2 lets you break a combo that your opponent is getting on you. And level 3, well, it can shift the tide of battle by performing an X-ray move. The super meter can be filled by doing damage, taking damage, blocking damage, or getting your attacks blocked. But they didn't just stop there in improvements into the gameplay. They added a basic training mode, a fatalities training mode, a challenge tower that goes up to over 300 challenges, including test your strength, test your might, test your sight, test your luck, and my personal favorite mode, the story mode. We're going to get into that a little bit later, but first, we're going to talk about the 3 shots. Well, I say 3 shots, but I actually mean 2 shots and a fatality. Well, the first 2 are classical shots. The third one actually started its life as a consequence to losing a bet at a bar. So first, we are talking about a Burt Reynolds shot. You're only going to need Captain Morgan's and Butter Ripple Schnapps. Now, you might have also heard this referred to as a Werther's Original. Next, we're going to do another classic shot, vodka, lemon, sugar. The lemon drop, also named after the candy. And finally, the fatality, the prairie dog, tequila, whiskey, hot sauce. Need I say more? This is definitely a revenge shot. Now, back to the game. And as I mentioned before, the story mode for me is where this game really shines. I've probably revisited this game at least once a year, if not a little bit more. The story mode is so interesting. It's basically a movie where you play the fight scenes of the character in the chapter you are controlling. And while that does create problems with characters becoming extremely weak after their own chapter, meaning that they'll lose every single fight that they're in, I do feel like this is more of a caveat for newer players who might not have the grasp of the control or the character's movements or even the special abilities. And I mean, really, before Mortal Kombat and before Mortal Kombat vs. DC, it's so easy to forget about what fighting games were like back then to comparing how they are now, where if they don't have a story mode and multiplayer and tons of playable characters, people freak out. But Mortal Kombat's roster was about 8 characters, and there was no story till you actually beat it, and then it gave you a 30-second clip with a few lines of dialogue. But this mode actually presents you with the story of the first 3 games compiled for this new generation. And while some characters don't fare how the diehard fans would prefer them to, I do think it's an interesting take on the story as a whole, and quite frankly, it's the best story we've had for Mortal Kombat before and since. So, as I said, the story takes place in the first 3 games, but due to the fact that it's based off of the ending of the last game, this is actually more of an in-game continuity reboot, which is just a fancy way of saying they didn't want to upset old fans by deleting all of the history that these characters have made in the past 30 years, but they also wanted to let go of the shackles that have been holding the series back because of those character developments. Long and short of it is, if you're familiar with the game, there might be some new surprises for you. If you're familiar with the movies, there'll definitely be some new surprises for you. And if you've never played or know anything about Mortal Kombat, well, you're about to get a dose of the 90s real hard. Alright, so first we are going to start with 3 shot glasses, and I like to chill my Burt Reynolds shot, so I'm going to take my Boston Shaker, I'm going to drop in some ice so that I can get the shot nice and cool. So we're going to start with a ½ ounce of Butter Ripple Schnapps. We're just going to pour that right in, follow that up, of course, with a ½ ounce of Captain Morgan spiced rum. This is probably the most convenient and easiest to get spiced rum you can. Now we're just going to take our spoon, give it a nice hearty stir. Yeah, the golden rule between stirring and shaking: all alcohol, generally stir. Anything with fruit juice, you want to shake. So we're just going to stir this one to make it nice and easy. We're going to take the strainer, put it on top, and then pour in that delicious shot right there. It looks amazing, and you are going to love this shot. Next, we are going to do our lemon drop. I've already got my plate of sugar ready to go, so I'm just going to snip the tip of the lemon right there, and then one more slice to cut it directly in half. Now, when you're cutting it, you're going to want to make sure the flat side is on the ground so it doesn't roll away from you. Then you're going to make a small incision so that you can take the shot glass and rim the shot glass with the lemon juice. Now that the shot glass is rimmed, we can take our plate of sugar and just give it a beautiful rim. There we go. Twist it around, give it a little shake, and you should have something that looks just like that. Now, the easiest part, we're going to put 1 full ounce of vodka into this shot glass. There we are, and that is a perfect lemon drop. Alright, we're just going to clean this mess up, and we're going to start with our Fatality Shot. Now, we are going to take our tequila, and you're only going to need a ½ ounce of tequila and whatever tequila you got lying around. I had Casamigos lying around, so I figured I might as well. Some people might give me a little hate for that, but to be honest with you, it was just sitting in a cupboard. Now I'm just going to take whatever whiskey I got lying around, ½ ounce of that, ½ ounce of the tequila, and then you're just going to want to throw in as much hot sauce as you can handle, or even more if it's for somebody else, especially if they lost a bet. So you're just going to shake. The guide says about 8 to 12 shakes, so just really go in there. And now you have an absolute delicious trio of shots. Burt Reynolds, my favorite. Lemon Drop is extremely popular. And the Prairie Dog, well, unless I lost a competition, I don't think I would do that one again. So, in closing, Mortal Kombat 9 was revolutionary for the franchise, so much so that it has spawned 2 direct sequels after it, Mortal Kombat 10 and now most recently Mortal Kombat 11. Although it really does bring up an interesting point because technically Mortal Kombat 9 is now unavailable on Steam, as well as being pulled from the PlayStation and the Xbox marketplaces. So really, eventually no one will be even able to play this game, assuming that you don't have the physical copy, which is quite sad, and I'm hoping that NetherRealm remedies this issue as soon as they get their plans in place for that. But this is a fun game with a fun set of shots. And if you find that you have a bunch of people around playing Mortal Kombat and you've got a bunch of liquor, maybe turn it into a drinking game. Maybe let me know down in the comments below what rules you set up. And maybe let me know if somebody actually tried the Prairie Dog or the Fertility Shot. With that said, thank you again so much for watching, and if you made it all the way to the end, definitely big props there. So thank you so much for supporting, and I hope you like, comment, subscribe. If you have any suggestions for upcoming games or cocktails you would like to see me pair with a game, please do not hesitate to let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much, and as always, hope to see you around real soon.